McLaren, all you've got to do now is one job to make this season perfect for you, and that is to not pull a Ferrari. And all you need to do is just use some red paint and white paint, or vinyl stickers, or however they choose to decorate F1 cars these days. Whilst Ferrari were pulling the biggest blunder of the season when it came to their livery, and my fellow patrons were discussing who was their diver of the day instead of driver of the day, it's the diver of the day for the worst driver of the weekend. By the way, that was Kevin Magnussen. Some little bits of merchandise dropped in the McLaren store, and of course the F1 official store itself. And that showcased some interesting McLaren merch that was decorated in very familiar colours. There was a cap that was red and white. And if you're not at all familiar with why that's significant, well, it's all to do with what's coming up. It was to do with Monaco. And Monaco and that livery is very, very famous. Ayrton Senna in a McLaren, Monaco Grand Prix, 6 Grand Prix victories. That is one of the most extreme bits of consistency in the entire history of the sport. And now we're seeing more and more bits of merchandise enter the McLaren store, and it's just showing us more and more that what we could expect at Monaco, 30 years after the passing of Ayrton Senna, at the team where he got all 3 of his world titles at, and still holds him dear, and still has a place for the Senna logo on their car, well, I think we're probably going to be getting a McLaren red and white livery in a similar style to the Marlboro livery. Let's be honest, when we saw the MCL 38 livery, we all thought that, oh, it looks so good, black and papaya. If only it were white and red, it'd be perfect. Well, it seems like this is a fairly open goal, and a fairly straightforward one too. Because if you're familiar with my winners and losers video from Miami, I was not at all pleased when it came to what we saw with the Ferrari. We were expecting one thing, but we got another thing. We got special racing overalls that were done in the familiar light blue of classic Ferrari drivers. That was looking promising. And then they were mentioning a blue Ferrari, similar to what we got in 1964. The North American racing team, instead of Ferrari, entered with white and blue, and that was all down to a protest from Enzo Ferrari saying essentially, because he wasn't getting his way, you're not going to get any of our Ferrari red here. I don't know whether I can encapsulate my rage here a second time, so just in case you haven't seen it, roll tape. Oh my god! I don't know whether or not this is worse than the pink camo livery with Alpine. How did you get this wrong? What was so hard about just reproducing the North American racing team livery from 1964? It's white and blue. There's a stripe. There are so many fan concepts of it. It was so easy and you fumbled it. And what makes this even worse is that the Monza livery of last year, the Vegas livery of last year, they were bangers. If this same person designed it, the 2024 livery, it's absolutely mint. I love it. I'm sorry if I'm overreacting, but that's why I'm disappointed, because I know Ferrari can make really good liveries, especially at the moment. And this was just such an open goal. But not only did Ferrari miss the open goal, the goal just went backwards and then scored a goal in its own net from the other side of the stadium. What? I'm already aggrieved with HP's reluctance to go monotone like most of the other sponsors. I mean, they're joining the same ranks as Shell and going like, no, we're going to use our own colours. There you go. We're paying your checks. We're compensating you for Lewis Hamilton next year. And maybe Adrian Newey, but we're not officially talking about that yet. But either way, HP, fine, whatever. It's a sponsor. Okay, I can get over that. But what we saw and what we expected were completely different. I had some misgivings when we saw the social media posts of just blue accents and then the red nose, like, uh-oh, I don't like where this is going. And then I was proven right, and I was just so crushed. Yeah, the same design team made that Monza livery. It was so beautiful. But no. I'm done. Oh yeah, I'm still mad about it, and I still stand by what I said in that segment, but I just felt like I really need to say it again. Oof. Oh. But I seriously think that what McLaren is planning and what they are cooking up will happen. It's such a straightforward win, because we only have to look back to what we saw at the Monaco Grand Prix last year, when there was a tribute to the Triple Crown. What we got there was essentially just the Marlboro livery, but this time around, instead of white and red, it was white, papaya, and black, combining 3 classic liveries into one. The white coming from the Marlboro livery, and that has now been thankfully immortalised in IndyCar with one of the McLaren cars sporting the white and papaya look. If only it were red still. But hey, white and papaya is still better than the Marlboro Light Edition when it was white and yellow. Black and yellow, yeah, as we see with Renault, that completely works, but when it comes to white and yellow, not quite the same. But this is such a straightforward shot. And the only reason why people don't tend to remember the Triple Crown livery all that much is because when McLaren sported that livery, they weren't doing all that well. And they were pretty much near the back, and any points would have been a miracle. And that's probably why it's not stuck around in the public consciousness as much as the chrome livery of Silverstone, because we all know what happened at Silverstone. Lando Norris popped it into second, Oscar Piastri nearly put it on the podium, and just because it had some chrome accents instead of being completely chrome, because do you get it? Google Chrome. That was very smart, I will admit, but it could have been just that little bit more. It then became completely synonymous with McLaren's ascent to the top. And following that, McLaren did put out some fairly decent liveries, except the Las Vegas Jack Daniels one. That was a little bit hard to see. The numbering, though, was pretty good. But I feel like McLaren are setting themselves up for either a spectacular tribute to Ayrton Senna at the track where he got 6 Grand Prix wins and still holds the record there, and is practically Mr. Monaco aside from Graham Hill. It'd be so easy to do, but if they don't do it, then I think that would be even worse than what Ferrari put out at Miami. That crushed people's spirits, especially since the Monza and Vegas liveries were so good. The Vegas one especially was a fantastic tribute to the 70s Ferrari designs. And then they go and put out that thing. You could have still had blue with HP on the white bit. Sorry, I've already said my bit. We're talking about McLaren here. I just feel like what we've seen here and all of the leaks and all of the droppings of the Monaco collection, that really cool jacket, that really cool hoodie. I'm not being sponsored by McLaren here. I'm just saying that this is a really, really good thing that I decided to take a break from my weekend relaxation and share it with you. That what we're seeing here could be really, really good. It's not quite the same as the leaked footage that we got of a really, really blurred Triple Crown livery, but I think this is good enough. This is pretty much telling us all that we can either expect this to come about at Monte Carlo for the Monaco Grand Prix, because it is called the Monaco Collection, or we might get a tribute of it at Imola. It might get 2 races, because the Triple Crown livery, it didn't just get a Monaco outing, it also got an outing at the Spanish Grand Prix. That was a little bit random, but I guess many people liked it, so McLaren thought, you know what, let's just give it one more go. So maybe because of Ayrton Senna's association with Imola, they might bring it out for the 30th anniversary, to then carry forward to the Monaco Grand Prix, where Senna did so well. If they do that, that would be a really fantastic tribute. The colours that brought Ayrton Senna so much glory, with the team that brought him so much glory, that would be perfect. That would be a perfect tribute. And really just put Ferrari to shame, because that livery, the white and blue, could have been so iconic and remind people of that huge protestation from 1964, 60 years ago. That would have been such a fantastic opportunity, and Ferrari blew it. I don't know what they were thinking, but McLaren, you better not let us down, because it's just so easy. There are so many fan renders of replacing the black and papaya with white and red. That's all you gotta do. Just change the stickers, and then you completely encapsulate what you brought for the Monaco collection in your merch store. And I promise, McLaren, if you do that, if you actually bring those colours to your MCL 38, and then maybe, who knows, Lando Norris or Oscar Piastri wins the Monaco Grand Prix, okay, maybe not that far, but if they just show it, then I promise to buy something from that merch store. That jacket does look good, I will admit, because that back design, oh, that's mint. Maybe at least a hoodie. Cap, though? I don't really collect caps, though. Although, admittedly, I do have the bobble hat. Ooh, white and red bobble hat. That'd be really cool. Add to my collection. Even though one isn't a collection, but then I'd have 2. Then that would be a collection. But either way, I thought I'd share it with you. Casual Saturday video that we are expecting something good here. This is really, really interesting. I thought I'd bring to your attention. And that's it, basically. Unless you want to stick around this channel, maybe like and subscribe, or look at that video there. So I'll see you over there, whatever I choose to wear.